everybody, and welcome back to T3 Presents. This time we present 2XK. I already screwed up the name. That's how
You
good
had
the
it. You
name
had
is.
it.
Anyway.
Okay, this time we present 2XKO. I am My Life is an RPG. I am joined with.
Ghoul.
Undisputed Joey.
Yeah, so I already screwed up, but we're gonna talk about 2XKO, formerly Project L, this week. That's the big sort of fighting game news that happened end of February, early March. And we're just gonna talk about, the game. Are we excited for it? What challenges it's going to face, what it's bringing to the scene. And first off, considering how much I flubbed it, the new name. Let's get it out of the way.
It's
Does
bad.
it suck?
It's not good. It's not a good name.
I will admit it's growing on me, but not quick enough.
Right.
Like,
So
I agree with you on that. That's a good point.
it's like Project L was such a cool name, right? And like it grew. Everybody got attached to it because that's what it was for the years since that game has been announced. It's been years, plural, by the way, before we got an actual title for this game. And still no release date, mind you, but we can get into that. And then they were like, hey, we're going to announce the actual title of the game. And everyone got kind of excited. I just wanted it to stay Project L, if I'm being quite honest with you.
Same here.
Which I know it wouldn't, because, like, Valorant was Project A, and then, it got renamed to Valorant. And then, which, is a cool name for a cool game. But 2XKO, like, what were they going for here?
Bad name for a cool game, though.
I think I know what they were going for, and I think they were trying to skip ahead to what we were all going to call it anyway, right? Like, which I think is bad. It's the thing where, like, you can't choose your nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a nickname has to come out, like, organically. But like, we never type the full name of fighting games, right? We never talk about what like
Smash Bros.
We don't say even Smash Bros. We say Smash, right? Or we just say Ultimate,
Right,
like
Smash 4 instead of Wii U. Instead of Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS, Smash 4.
Yeah, exactly. When we don't say Under Night in Birth Sis Celeste, we say Uni 2, right?
Or we say like Under Night or Uni or whatever.
Yeah. Even Skullgirls, which is really, really nice and succinct, we shorten it to Skugs, So like,
although Injustice is just INJ.
Injustice is INJ, yeah. Although I don't think I've ever had anybody try to nickname Tekken in conversation, like verbal.
Yeah, that's the one that doesn't get that.
I've seen it typed like T7 and T8.
Yeah, like TC, like or you get like TK7 or TK8 or whatever. But like verbally,
One of my favorite nicknames is just shortening Guilty Gear just to Strive. I just Strive just.
Yeah, you play Strive.
It means something to me. I love that.
You play Rev 2 or you play Plus R.
Yeah. So I think what they were trying to do was just skip the middleman and be like, okay, let's name this what we think people would shorten it to without something to actually shorten, right? And it feels like they're trying too hard, like, to be totally honest. Like,
what do you think the full title was gonna be before they decided to nickname it?
Well, the funny thing is that if they actually named, if they drew this out, like if they named this League of Legends : Double Knockout, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
And then if we named it 2XKO, it wouldn't necessarily be so bad.
Right, exactly.
But
it comes off very how do you do, fellow kids.
Yeah, it does. And it is a mouthful. Like, I think that's the other thing that they didn't particularly think about linguistically. The things we shorten games to are things that are easy to say, and 2XKO is a little hard to say. It's a bit of a tongue twister,
Just 3 letters, I'd say that'd be much better.
Yeah.
Well, I've already heard people call it like 2KO, right? Or like XKO or something like that. Which is fine, because now we're nicknaming a nickname.
Yeah. I like the one that Cookie came up with, which is just call it Tuxedo. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, I get it. Part of the problem is that it is how do you do, fellow kids? Because this game has been in development so long, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it went from like this was made by the Cannon brothers, right? And
Mhm.
when this started development, like when Rising
Okay.
Thunder was was taken down and
Rip
Project
Rising
L
Thunder.
started development. Yeah, Rip Rising Thunder. It was a good game.
It was.
That was God, that was like near 10 years ago, right? Hold on,
Something
let me
like that,
check.
yeah.
I'm doing that
Like
right now.
Rising Thunder came out uh 2018, right?
Yeah.
So
That
It
sounds
says
about right.
Project L was announced around 2019.
So yeah. So we're talking about like, you know, like 5-6 years
Yeah.
right ago.
Good amount of time.
They were put on this project, and like yeah, they were young, they were fellow kids when they started, and now they're adults. You know? So
Yeah.
it does, so 2XKO kind of feels like it's a 5 years ago, 10 years ago sort of thing. Like,
I was in
it's
high school.
funny.
Think about that.
Yeah, now you're teaching. Um,
I am. I do have a permanent substitute job, so that counts.
So yeah, like I don't know. The more I think about it, like I can deal, but it could have been better.
I
You
mean,
know,
the
like
thing about the FGC, right, is we're always just gonna call games what we're gonna call them, right? We're gonna come up with
yeah,
our own name for it, and it's gonna stick, and
Yep.
we're never gonna call it 2XKO again. And
yeah,
that's fine, because the
yeah, it's
real
fine.
important thing is the game itself, which there's a lot to
Mhm.
talk about. I mean, first and foremost, the game is free to play,
Yep. Huge.
and it's adopting the, what Riot is known for, the League of Legends style free to play, where, you download the game and then you unlock characters and, I mean, they might do paid cosmetics, but like you unlock characters and stuff through in-game earned currency,
Mhm.
which is really interesting for a fighting game, right? Because other fighting games have tried the free to play buy characters model before. Um,
I think
and
Brawlhalla was one of them.
Brawlhalla is the most successful one to do it.
Yeah, like by and large, most fighting games have failed.
Mm-hmm.
But also Brawlhalla is an amazing success. So
Yeah.
like it does show you the two ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah. Because just off the top of my head, games that have done it are Killer Instinct for the Xbox One, and Dead or Alive 5 and 6. Both had a free to play version where you could buy individual characters if you wanted, or you could drop like $30 and get all of the characters. And then for $60 you could buy the full game that included story mode, arcade mode, and all of the content. I think, oh no, Grand Blue, right? Grand Blue has
I wasn't sure about Grand Blue. I know you can. I know it's a rotation of 4 characters per week, but I wasn't sure if you can use the in-game currency to buy them.
So no, that's the funny thing, is that none of these games that I've mentioned have the in-game currency unlock. You have to spend real money to unlock characters in these games.
Yeah. Except for Brawlhalla.
Except for Brawlhalla, yes,
Yeah.
which is the one that happens to be a resounding success.
Yeah.
Go figure.
So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. People have been saying that the free to play model is like the way to go for fighting games going into the future for a long time now. But the fighting game community, you know, as it tends to be, is a little afraid of change, and a lot
Just
of
a
people
little.
are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna play this because it's free to play. It's gonna, you know, squeeze me out of my money." I mean, I remember when people were complaining about the Street Fighter 6 Battle Pass, you know, but it's like, "Oh, you're telling me that I'm gonna have to spend $10 and all I'm gonna get is this swimsuit?" And I'm like, you don't have to buy it.
You
know,
don't have to buy the
like,
$10. You don't have to spend the $10.
Unless
you know,
King Griffin's in it.
like, I mean, I get maybe you suffer from FOMO, but like, you know, and that is a thing that needs to be talked about. There is kind of a psychological angle there because the biggest argument against free to play models, is that they tend to prey on people who have psychological vulnerabilities that make them, you know, prone to gambling or prone to impulsive purchases due to missing, right? And there is something to be said for that, like that is outright taking advantage of people who have, mental difficulties processing something. And I do think that that is not cool. But at the same time, I do think that this model can be done ethically, and I think League, for all Riot's problems, and Riot does have problems, I think that the League model is okay. Like you get a lot of characters you can play. The characters are not expensive to buy. The characters are very easy to earn. I think if that gets carried over to Project L, I just called it Project L again. I think if that gets carried over to XKO, it could see a lot of success. At the same time, I think that they are walking on a razor's edge,
Oh, for sure.
Because as we said before, Brawlhalla, Brawlhalla is the best fighting game that nobody knows about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fighting game community never talks about Brawlhalla, but it makes bank. Like it is huge.
So
Rakes
two
in
problems
money.
with it.
Rakes
Two problems. It's free to play, and it's platform fighter, so no one wants to do that.
I mean, honestly, like there's an argument for maybe Smash should go free to play with this model, and just keep on keeping on with the Ultimate Engine, but I'm keeping my hands off that.
Yeah, no, I'm not even going there.
But yeah, so I think the big issues here is like, number one, how are we going to market free to play to a skeptical fighting game community, right? Because like they do seem to want to hit the fighting game core, unlike Brawlhalla, which was basically like people are going to play us anyway, so who cares, if no one in the fighting game community knows about us, right? So number one, how do you market it to the fighting game community? And number two, what is that price point? And yeah, I'm gonna fucking force you guys to talk about economics. What's that price point that makes you feel like a character purchase is like fair? Like, because I remember multiverses, right? The test for multiverses, which is coming out soon. Most people said they charged too much, and people were very angry, especially that their in-game purchases are not going to carry over to the full game now, So that something that simple could make, the House of Cards kind of fall down, and then 2XKO goes nowhere. So what do you guys think?
So this model is, I want to preface this point by saying that like this is Riot we're talking about. They have two wildly successful games that are currently among the most played games in their genres, being League of Legends and Valorant. And they both use this model, this sort of free to play, earn characters through in-game currency model. I was just looking it up. League of Legends has 168 champions in it. And every single one of those is a possible character that could be put into 2XKO. Do I think that this game is going to have 168 characters in it? Absolutely not. But I've been wrong before. I don't know off the top of my head what it costs in money to purchase a League character. I haven't played League in a long time, and as the last I do remember is that different champions cost different amounts based on how new they are.
Yeah, same thing with Pokemon Unite, actually.
Yeah, Pokemon Unite.
I think it was skill level. I want to say. I think it's easier ones are cost less money. If I'm correct, I'm probably wrong on that, but I do know some are more expensive than others.
Mm-hmm. It has the cost in blue essence, but now I need to like figure out the essence to
dollars. How much in Bison dollars?
Yeah, you took my joke.
But yeah, no, there's different price tiers. The highest price tier is one that just came out, which is 7,800 blue essence, or
what is that, like $10? You have to spend $10 to get that much or something like that?
something like that. I mean, I
Probably.
don't know, fucking league conversion rate.
Oof. No, but what was I gonna say? Really quick, I know for Brawlhalla though, when the game came out, I played in beta for a bit, and so there was this option where it's like you can take everyone, or like there's a rotation of characters, and then you can just spend I think $20 flat to get every character than every other character going for free. You don't have to pay anything else, and no more in-game currency. You just got all the characters from there going forward.
That's a
And that was
$20 package?
I think I got it when the beta was happening, so I think it was like 20.
Oh, okay, wow.
So it's approximately equivalent to 650.
Okay,
That's not bad.
that's not bad.
But you're not allowed to purchase 650
$650
worth of, yeah, you have to either buy $10 or $11, $5 or $11.
So Street Fighter
worth,
6.
you know.
So
yeah.
that is a completely separate topic where they do that thing where they like middle road price things where it's like this tier doesn't have enough of the currency to buy a character, but this one has more than you need, right? So you have to spend more money than what the character actually costs to get the character, which I think is awful. I think that's terrible. I should be allowed to purchase the exact amount of whatever in-game currency I need, right?
Yeah.
I should be able to type, $6.50 into the client, spend that much, get exactly however much I need, and then buy the character that I want.
Yeah.
Hands down, should be able to do that.
On the upside, like that is as expensive as it gets.
Yeah, they
like,
get cheaper from there.
There are certain champions that are like, like $1 and change, which like I don't know what they're gonna cost, for Project L, but like I said Project L again. I don't know what they're gonna. I'm just gonna point out every time I do that. I don't know what they're gonna cost for the characters in 2XKO, but if they're anything on this pricing tier, like I think that's a bargain. Because what do we pay in Strive? Like
Strive characters are like $7.
Yeah,
$7-8.
So
yeah.
We didn't see $7. I remember.
Tekken characters are usually around there too. And Riot's other game, Valorant, has 22 characters. Excuse me. Which 5 of them are free, so everybody gets the same 5. There's no rotation or anything.
Okay.
So there's what's that math? 17 purchasable characters. And all of them are 1,000 Valorant points each, which is $10.
Gotcha.
So you can buy a character for $10. Or you can get the in-game currency, which I've been playing a lot of Valorant lately. I started playing the game 2-3 weeks ago. And it's been the primary game I've been playing lately. So I want to say I maybe put like 30-40 hours, seems highball in it. And I have gotten enough credits to unlock 2 characters.
All right.
And I've spent $0 on the game.
And would you say that you think that that's a pretty good time investment to return payoff? Or
I think so, yeah. I mean, especially like as far as the characters go in something like a tactical shooter, you spend a lot of time playing one character, right? And I mean, the same is true for a lot of people in fighting games. You find the characters that you main, and then you spend a lot of time playing them. 2XKO is going to be a little bit different because it's a tag fighter, so you're going to need to play 2 characters, which is going to be interesting for, character unlock implications. Because it's like, to play the team that I want, I need to unlock 2 characters now, instead of just unlocking the one character that I want to play, right? On the flip side, the benefit to the fighting game is that mirror matches are allowed. Or, you're not playing on a team, I guess I should say, because mirror matches are allowed in Valorant and in League also. Like, the opposing team can pick the same champions as you. But in Valorant, you're on a team of 5 players, and if somebody else picks the character that you want, you can no longer pick that character.
Right.
So I main Jet. If I'm queuing up with randoms and one of my teammates clicks on Jet faster than me, I don't get to play Jet now. So I have to pick a different character.
You always have backup.
Yeah, and that's not a thing in fighting games. Once I have my two characters in my team, I can queue up by myself and always play those two characters, which I think is going to sort of add to the longevity of owning not the full cast. You know what I mean? Um,
There's also the thing that this is another thing to bring up. 2XKO does allow team play.
yes, it does.
They allow you to play with your friend and play only one character, and your friend plays only that other character.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, you both earn currency. They said, so like you can. I guess. I mean, it's weird because I'm talking about this in MOBA terms, but you could just have your friend carry you. If you really want to just, like
That's
your
a
friend
weird,
who's
like, prospects.
yeah, because I'm thinking about it, right? And it's like if I wanted one of my Meat Space friends to get, because you guys all know how to play fighting games, so I'm not considering it like that. But like if I wanted one of my Meat Space friends to play with me, right? I would absolutely suggest that they play sort of like the 2-player team model, right? Because like I know it's kind of a handicap for me because they're just going to be mashing buttons. But that's going to unlock their roster quicker. It's going to get them adjusted to the game quicker, and they're not going to necessarily feel like they're going to lose. It's kind of like a microcosm of the team game, the good things about team gameplay without pushing it past one other person so that us antisocial FGC heads, don't get upset.
Yeah, I mean that's great, and I believe that this is confirmed, but like solo players will be allowed to play against team players, like in the same matchmaking.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool because now you're just giving the player the choice, right? Like, like you said, I'm an antisocial fighting gamer. So I'm going to want to play by myself primarily. I'm going to want to be in charge of my own combos. I'm going to want to tag in and out whenever I want. I don't want to have to think about somebody else's idea of like the game state. It's just me, my two characters against my opponent, right?
You guys say that as you host a podcast, just letting you guys know that.
I mean, yeah.
Antisocial my ass.
I mean, you know what I mean, though, because I definitely play fighting games because I do not want to play with other people, right? I want to play against other people. Like, although I think it is awesome, I think it's going to be 100% cool that we're going to be able to do that. I think it's going to be cool when Strive does that, too. That's a thing that's coming to Strive, the 3v3, team battles. So I think it's going to be cool, and I definitely do think at some point I'm going to be, in our Discord being like, let's play some crazy team battles, like let's do something stupid.
Yeah, and I mean that'll be fun,
Yeah. I actually think so like one of the things I think is going to be really fun is I play grapplers, right? They've already shown that Darius and Alawi have grappler assists, right? And your teammate is in charge of the assists when you're doing that. So like nothing, I could think of nothing that would give me more dopamine than having a teammate who's just like a crazy ass rushdown character, right? Just doing their thing and me sitting there with my hand on the throw button, waiting for like 2 seconds between their block string to be like, like that. So
yeah, it opens up for a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
And I think that Radiant is because we say Riot a lot, when we're talking about 2XKO, but Riot is doing nothing in terms of development for this game. They are lending marketing budget, they are giving development budget, they are giving the IP, but all development is being handled by Radiant Studios, which is Tom and Tony Cannon's company, right? So it's important to draw that line, because a lot of people have been like, oh, well, Riot has done dev fuck-ups before. It's like, you don't have to worry about that.
It's not Riot doing the devs.
It's not Riot doing the devs. But anyway, I think that they are trying to focus on, very cautiously focus on the bringing that sort of MOBA feel to a fighting game.
Mhm.
Whether or not it will work, I am skeptically hopeful. I think is a good way to say it. I think that there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I think if they price their characters too heavy, that'll be a killing.
Yeah.
You know, like so they have to be really careful.
I'm gonna just run for 2 seconds. I want to go back. So I looked at the Brawlhalla thing about getting all the characters currently and future in the beta. Currently, right now, you can get it for 40. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was 40 at the time. But so
there's also a lot
I would
more
like-
characters now. I'm sure back in the beta when you purchased it, Brawlhalla
I was
wasn't
like
aware of
20.
how many characters there was going to be
Yeah.
in that game. Not to
Well,
mention all the licensed stuff.
Sure,
I
and then
think
also
the-
Smash Bros. I want to add because Smash is a character, a stage, music, and a bunch of other stuff. That's $6, $5.99.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like I actually think it would be really intelligent if 2XKO gave us the option of like look, we know some of you just want to buy the fighting game.
Mhm.
Here, pay $60, get all this shit. You
Yeah.
know.
I would love it if they did that. But having played the two other Riot properties that don't have that, which I'm actually surprised. I'm not as shocked about it with League of Legends because, like I said, League has 126 characters in it.
Right? Yeah.
That package would have to be like over $100, which I guess they could do that. But Valorant only having 22, and there's no purchase all agents package, which is something that I would do. Like I enjoy the game enough that if I had $40 to throw at the game to give me all the characters, that's something I would do. I did it for Smite when I was playing Smite because Smite had, I think I got it on sale for $30, and it unlocked all of the characters for me.
Yeah.
And I love that option, and I hope that the Cannon brothers choose to include that because that's really important for TOs.
I think the other thing that's going to determine whether or not this is good pricing wise is are we going to be able to use characters that we don't own in
practice mode?
Yeah. Because here's the thing, if big if, like, but if this hits and if this roster blows up, to 20, 50, 70, it's still a fraction of the league roster, you know? And you have to buy each of those characters individually, then that'll make it nearly impossible to practice and very impossible to hold tournaments, right? Unless it's online, right? Like it would work just fine. Don't pay attention to my dog. It would work just fine, if we were holding the tournaments in an online setting where we're all playing with the characters that we have. But like for main stage on Evo, that means every single one of those setups needs to have every single character unlocked, and that gets prohibitively expensive very quick.
Very, very fast.
It says it says Brawlhalla launched with 34 and it has 61 characters right now. So I have no idea how Brawlhalla tournaments are run. But imagine having to have multiple sets with 61 characters unlocked in each set.
Well, that's another thing that I think if Radiant and Riot have their head on straight, they'll do the thing that is done with MOBAs, which is when you run a sanctioned tournament, you just get a key. Like you get a key and it unlocks everything. You have to do a whole bunch of paperwork, and you're like, hey, I'm running a tournament for your game. Can you please give me the unlock key that will, make all of these things available? And then they're like, sure.
Right, yeah.
But again, that does create an extra step. And like, I don't mean to make it seem like the FGC is averse to those extra steps.
Yep.
But the FGC is averse to those extra steps.
You are absolutely correct. I had a point and I lost it. Train of thought, just off the rails. Had to do with characters and oh yeah, I was gonna say that Valorant in particular does let you practice with agents you don't own before you buy them. So
Okay.
you can go into like a practice firing range and you can like read descriptions of the character's abilities and you can run around with them. You grab whatever gun
Oh,
you want, shoot at targets, use the abilities freely, get a feel for what the character does before you decide if you want to buy them or not.
Mhm.
yes. Yeah, Pokemon Unite is the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know if League of Legends does something like that. Like I said, I don't
Me
have
neither.
really any experience with that game in the last 7 years. Um,
I'm not aware, but I have played. I know that Dota and HOTS do.
okay. Well, in Dota,
So
you just have all the characters, don't you?
I don't know. It's been forever since I
I'm gonna
played
say
Dota.
if I'm not
So,
mistaken, in Dota 2, you just have all the characters. You don't have to unlock
right.
anything. I could be wrong about that though, but I remember, excuse me, I remember not having to unlock characters in Dota.
Hmm.
Um, but in any case, with Valorant in particular, Riot has a precedent for allowing you to use content you don't own in a practice setting so that you can at least make an informed decision on whether or not you want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is awesome.
I just looked up. Thanks for Reddit. Yes, you can practice anyone in League.
Oh, okay,
Okay. Cool.
cool. So you can practice with characters you don't own. That's awesome. That's an awesome capability that every fighting game should adopt.
Hmm.
The ability
I
to
mean,
practice with or against characters in training mode, even if you don't own them.
that's going to
Yes.
be really huge if they do adopt that too, right? Because they will be the
Fighting
first
game, yeah.
fighting game that did that.
Hmm.
And now that I know that both League and Valorant let you do that, I mean that's looking good,
Yeah,
right?
that looks great.
Um, so yeah, I don't
Also,
know, things to be excited about.
Riot, I'm just gonna come out and say Riot runs esports right now.
Yeah.
yeah, they really do.
Um, League of Legends is like the biggest esport of all time.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't have specific numbers in front of me, so if you want to argue with me in the comments, you can. But I think the only thing that would like come close to challenging League of Legends would be like Counter-Strike. Oh, I just knocked
Hmm.
over my water. Okay,
That's fine.
it's okay. It has a lid. Um,
Yes, God.
it like CS:GO and League of Legends are the esports, right? I mean, for a long time it
Yeah.
was StarCraft 2. I think StarCraft 2 has sort of fallen by the wayside in more recent
Hmm.
years. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and
Well, it's
you
because
know,
all the RTS players are now MOBA players.
right,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Oh yeah, what's it called? Hearthstone I know is big as well.
Oh yeah, Hearthstone was pretty big. Um, but League of Legends is the superstar.
Hmm.
And now Valorant is rivaling Counter-Strike in the FPS in like the FPS area, right?
Hmm.
So I have no doubt in my mind that 2XKO is going to be handled by a company that understands esports and how
Yes.
to make games successful on this grand competitive scale, right? And it seems that those people that own esports think you should be able to practice with characters you don't own.
Hmm.
I mean, we should probably talk about this in terms of like the esports angle,
Yeah,
right? Because
Yeah.
we here in the FGC have constantly said we want people to take us more seriously in terms of being an sport.
Yes.
We also kind of want to have our cake and eat it too, because we
right.
also don't want to be esports, um, but we are getting closer, right? Because Capcom Cup just ended,
Hmm.
and there was a $1 million, prize, the Capcom Cup, and like for us that's crazy,
That's
but
huge for us.
for us that's huge, but for League, that's
Nothing.
Tuesday,
Yeah,
right?
like League of Legends players don't get out of bed for $1 million prize pool,
Yeah.
Nope.
Like League as of June 2016, League gave away $30 million in prize money.
Excuse me?
Like 30 million. Yeah, I know. I looked up that statistic and I had to like catch my breath for a second. I'm like,
So I
like
need to take this game seriously. Got it.
so like that's the thing, like we're coming at this like Capcom was serious. Street Fighter, had a $1 million prize. We're going to, if Riot puts the same support that they put behind Valorant and behind League, behind 2XKO, we are going to be seeing $1 million, $2 million, prize pools routinely, and that's crazy. Like in 2017, the first place prize was 1.8 million, like for the league championships. Like that's insane, guys.
I just feel like that probably also has to do with people buying cosmetics, people buying champions at the high price that they are, and buying in only 5 and 10 increments when the character's 6 or something like that. So that might be a factor because they know people spend that much money on it.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The Valorant Championships from 2023, because the 2024 one is currently ongoing, but the 2023 champions for Valorant, the grand prize was 2.25 million.
I'm guessing that's split among five people.
Well, yeah,
Though.
you would split that among your 5 people, and then they're sponsored players, so the org gets some, and
Yeah.
you give some to the coaches, and yada yada.
Like you have to realize, even when that is split between 5 players, and even when their org gets some, that is still orders of magnitude higher than most fighting game tournaments,
and
right?
Now I'm thinking of this. Do we think of what is like Street Fighter? They have tournaments are modern and classic controls, no dynamic controls at all. Do we think we're going to have tournaments for Valorant that's single player and 2v2s that will have the same amount of prize pool?
I don't know.
That is something that's interesting to think about because they've confirmed that online ranked is going to be mixed between, solo and duos. So I'm not sure, will the official tournament rule set include, will it mix the two? Can I enter a 2XKO major with a friend and then fight against people who are playing solo?
I mean, that'd be crazy. It'd be
that
cool.
would be crazy. And the rule sets around that would have to be it's just really interesting to think about. Obviously, we don't know enough about the game to say whether or not that's fair.
Well, you don't get any bonuses so far, right? Like what they said, you don't get any bonuses for having 2 people play on the same team. Right? So, I mean, let's be real, you're probably only handicapping yourself
having to split decision making between 2 people.
Yeah. So,
communication as well.
It might just resolve itself, right? Like it might just be like, if this is a thing you want to do, go ahead, and then most people don't, but then some cracked duo comes in and we're like, holy crap, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that makes me most excited about 2XKO. There's a lot of possibilities because, like I said before, the FGC, resistant to change, they're really like Radiant Games is really looking to innovate here, right? It's looking to figure out what fighting games haven't done yet, and it's kind of going in the opposite direction of what we were talking about last episode, where we were like, are fighting games video games, because like when we think about video games, we're like, oh, you need a single player, you need campaign, you need all this stuff, right? But like MOBAs have largely not had that. Like MOBAs are basically like, here is the gameplay. It's good gameplay. You play the gameplay. There's lore and shit, but we're just gonna keep supporting the central gameplay. And arguably, that's the model that a fighting game wants, right? Like instead of saying, okay, here's your single player, here's your this, here's your that. Maybe we should be looking at it the way that Radiant and Riot is saying this is a live service, because we treat fighting games like a live service anyway.
Oh yeah,
right. Like
you get 5-6 season passes, yeah.
Yeah, So this is a live service. We're just gonna throw everything we have behind that live service and trickle in income, and maybe that'll work, or maybe, I mean, we all know the reasons why people are saying Project L. Said Project L again. Why people are saying 2XKO might fail, and it's stuff like the free to play model is one of them, but like another one is the controls. A lot of the hardcore fighting game community are like, oh, this has one button specials.
Right.
There's no motions. Which there are deep mechanics. Because you get meter. Each character has their own meter.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's
which
crazy,
is
actually.
that's a really crazy sort of thing.
It's a good balance
You
made with the two
you
different
get
people.
CVS 2 style grooves. I think
Right.
that is the coolest fucking thing ever.
That is really cool.
Um, you get, and those grooves give you different things that you get to do. Like one groove gives you like a Roman cancel, whereas another groove gives you like a kind of X Factor sort of
Uh-huh.
mode. And it's pretty clear that they're kind of picking and choosing between all the different versus games out there.
Uh-huh.
Again,
One
KX.
one gives you more assists, and stuff, and so that's gonna be really neat. So I think there's a possibility for it to be very deep, but there is a chunk of the fighting game community who's looking at this and is going, one button specials, auto combos, don't want to do it, not gonna touch it,
And I
you
think
know.
that those people will be perfectly content playing whatever game they like.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
I don't think so. Here's the thing with 2XKO, right? Most fighting games need those people, right? They
Mhm.
need to appeal to the hardcore fighting game community in order to find any type of longevity. I don't think this game does.
Mm.
I think that Riot, and maybe I'm speaking boldly here, but I think Riot is in this particular situation so big that we have to care.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
we must make room in the FGC for 2XKO. Whether it's going to be, even if zero, current fighting game players pick this game up, I think that the people coming from the outside that are going to fill up this game is going to be enough to warrant us paying attention to this game.
Mhm.
I think just the sheer size and volume of this IP treading on our territory. I say that like it's a negative thing. I don't think it is, by the way. I should preface that.
Yeah.
Um, the sheer magnitude of this IP, occupying our space is going to be enough to make us pay attention, right? Because like I plan on playing the game. I think it's going to be awesome. I like League of Legends characters. I like the IP. I love Riot's art style. I love how Riot handles their esports, which we can talk about in a little bit because I have a lot of opinions coming
Mhm.
from playing Valorant recently. Um, but I think that Riot is going to make a killer product, and it's going to be huge, and the FGC is going to have to pay attention, whether we play or whether we just make room on our stages and streams for it.
Mhm.
Um, I think that this game is coming, and we're going to have to be ready for it.
Definitely.
It's also coming in a versus game vacuum.
Yeah,
I think is a big thing. Like, I mean, as much as I love Scugs, like Scugs' time it has
it's
mostly passed.
right, and I mean,
You know.
versus games are being held together by a very niche within a niche, passionate community right now.
Mm.
And there's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot to enjoy about it. I love Skullgirls. I love the Skullgirls community. Um, I support the game. I play it. I have friends that play it, and it's a fantastic game with a lot of passion and love put into it from both the developers and the community. It's not putting on any $1 million prize pots.
Right. Not
Nope.
not anytime soon.
No, as
You
much as
know.
I would love it to,
Oh,
it's just not. Um,
it's
Yeah.
in the corner in the back.
right,
Mm.
exactly. Um, and I've gone to a lot of tournaments that have made space for it. I did commentary for Skullgirls at East Coast Throwdown this past year. And
Mhm.
that was awesome. It was the highlight of the weekend for me, was just hanging out with Skullgirls players. Um, but versus games, as they stand, are in a very nebulous place right now. Because like Marvel
Mhm.
3 is in a state where the only people really playing it are people who have been playing it since the beginning, right?
Most of
Yeah.
the
It's
Yeah.
mod.
it's the hardcore Marvel 3 heads and the
Mhm.
modding community
Yeah.
um that are playing that game. Marvel Infinite, I mean, I can't think of a nicer
And-
way to say it. Nobody liked it. It's,
Right.
No.
there's a community of people out there that do like it and they're very passionate about it. And I see those guys, you know, running their game at tournaments and they're hosting their own events and it's awesome. And I have all the respect in the world for people who like it. But that game did not succeed within the community, especially not at the magnitude that Marvel 3 did.
Right.
Um,
BB
Skullgirls
tag is
Skullgirls is
not a
Skullgirls. We talked about that.
yeah.
BB Tag is barely a thing.
Yeah.
What's
Especially
that game? Never heard of it. It's dead.
especially since Central Fiction got the rollback update that breathed life back into that game.
Yep.
Right.
Thank God.
Everybody, it seems like, and I don't have a lot of, you know, insight into the anime community, but it seems like most of the people who were playing BB Tag sort of just migrated back to Central Fiction.
Yeah, or they're playing Uni 2 now.
Or they're playing
like,
Uni 2, yeah.
The weird thing about BB Tag was it wasn't an anime game. It was a versus game.
Mhm.
And so a bunch of anime players came into it and they're like, this doesn't feel like the anime games we like, you know,
Right.
and it kind of turned them off.
Dragon Ball
So
Fighters, I mean, we could do a whole episode on what's going on with Dragon Ball Fighters
I
right now.
love that game to death. I will talk your ear off.
No, like Dragon Ball, and this is like so hard to say given recent events, but like Dragon Ball Fighters deserved better. The
Mhm.
people who play it deserve better. The Dragon Ball
Thank
IP
you.
deserves better. Akira Toriyama, rest his soul, deserves better than the way that game was handled.
Mhm. Which is funny too, because like back when it first came out, before you know before COVID peeled back the curtain and it was like, hey, wait, we could have rollback netcode. It was huge. You
Yeah,
know,
it was.
It was the versus game, you know, but like it was the torch holder for the last generation of versus games, and we don't
Mhm.
really have a next generation yet, you know.
Right.
Like there have been some like interim stuff, like Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Yeah, Battle
you
for the Grid is
know,
sweet.
like,
Yeah. Which, you know, that
Mhm.
game is tight, has really good netcode, has like simple controls but still complex mechanics.
Mhm.
If you're like a Marvel 3 head and you love your super long, you know, TODs, like that game has them for days. Give Battle for the Grid a shot. You know, if you want to play a versus game and you don't have one that you're into right now, give Battle for the Grid a try.
You just want to play games.
Also,
that game is really underrated.
Obligatory play Skullgirls.
Yes.
Always
but
play Skullgirls.
I do think that almost said Project L. I do think 2XKO
Say it, no balls.
will kick off sort of the next generation of versus games, because for
Yeah.
a while the FGC has kind of been like, well, Capcom's not going to do another Marvel versus Capcom again, so versus games are over, right?
Pretty much.
And I actually think that's why Radiant swerved, because the original build of Project L felt a lot more like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Because it was basically copying Rising Thunder, which was a lot like Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
But they very wisely were like, but we have a Street Fighter, you know, it's Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
You know,
Street Fighter's right here.
Yeah. And we don't have a versus game, and we can be that versus game, and I think that's very intelligent. Very intelligent.
Absolutely. I also think it hits that like sort of weird. I don't want to say weird because it's not weird. It's just a different way to do a versus game. But most of the successful versus games have been 3v3. You're playing like Marvel 3, you're playing Skullgirls, you're playing Dragon Ball Fighters. Those are all 3v3 games. The 2v2 games that have come out was what Marvel 1 was 2v2, right? You got 2v2.
Yeah.
2v2 plus a random assist was Marvel 1. And then ever since Marvel 2, that franchise has been 3v3 up until Infinite, because Infinite is 2v2 with an active tag system. And then BB Tag is a 2v2 game with an active tag system. And Tekken Tag 2 is a 2v2 game with an active tag system. Which that game is a versus game, don't get me started. But it hits like that like niche where it's like somebody like me, it took me, I mean, RPG, you were there for my versus game journey, right? You were there every step of the way.
I cracked your versus game egg.
Yeah. And you know how difficult it was for me to wrap my head around assists. I mean, I still kind of don't. Like my Skullgirls play does not use as much assists as other players. And that's just because my brain doesn't want to process, a character coming off screen, doing a move, and then leaving the screen again, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Much easier for me to process is my current character switching places with a different character.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that's easier for me, but it is.
I still feel the same way with fighters.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Fighters, I mean, same thing. I mean, Dragon Ball Fighters has more active tag mechanics than, like, say, Marvel 3 does. I mean,
Mhm.
Marvel 3 has the Team Aerial combos, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, like those are kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, and
Like
no,
you
they
don't see
didn't get
those much.
used a whole
Yeah.
lot, but they were there,
Mhm.
But even still, that game, Fighters, is still more heavily focused on assists.
Yes.
Um,
It took me, I want to say, a year or two just to figure out how to do assist combos. Like, and think about the timing. I believe it was like my main character Broly Z. No, Super Broly. I think his beam was like 6 frames slower than Goku's beam assist, and
yeah,
that with my head so much.
yeah.
I,
I
I, I
I
had to time that button a little bit differently.
I remember when Dragon Ball was still new, before we were given the ability to pick assists, where each character only had one
Yep.
assist.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing that game actively, and my team was considered unviable because I didn't have a beam assist.
Yes.
Oh yeah, back
Mine
back
too.
then in season 1, you picked characters on your team. Like Dragon Ball Fighter season 1 was Marvel 2. It
Yeah.
became Marvel 3, but season 1 was Marvel 2 because you were picking Super Saiyan Vegeta not because he was good on point,
Yeah.
but because
Yep.
he had the best assist in the game
Uh-huh.
back then. You know.
Right.
Um
And then
and
they gave us the ability to pick assists, and Trunks got
In
to
season
use his
three.
hit season 3. Yeah, Trunks got to use
Yep.
his beam as an assist, and that changed my entire life.
yeah.
But
And also they added C assist, which is more like some characters like Super Broly. Now he gets a beam that he can follow up and does more hit stun and
yeah,
extends to more combos. And then there's like someone like Trunks who just like comes out, teleports, and uses slashes sword with the same effect, but it's not a full screen thing.
mhm,
That's why I'm really interested in the 2xKO groove system, right? Because there is one
Yes.
groove that basically takes away almost all the assist and active tag stuff. Like the thing that you get is you tag, right?
uh-huh.
Like that's the thing you
Okay.
can do. But in response, when one of your characters dies, your other character like powers up a lot. Like,
That might
yeah,
be
it's
a groove that I use.
Same
Like,
here.
so like that's really interesting to me, because they're basically saying, all right, we get it. A bunch of you are just gonna play this like a slightly faster King of Fighters.
uh-huh.
You know? Like, so here's the groove for you. And reports coming out of Evo when they had the playtest at Evo said, yeah, no, that this is something that has merit to it, even at a higher level.
Yeah. I
Because
forget,
like
does 2xKO have incoming, or does it round set like Dragon Ball does?
I think let me check.
I have no idea.
I don't wanna have misinformation here.
Yeah, because I know
Um,
Dragon Ball, to my knowledge, was the
Yeah.
first versus game to
Mhm.
reset the game state when a
I
character
believe it
dies.
does. Yeah.
Um, Dragon Ball definitely does, whereas other versus games like Skullgirls and Marvel 3, if you
Mhm.
lose a character, you're getting mixed on your incoming.
Mhm.
And in Tekken Tag, you only had to lose one health bar to lose the round, so there was no incoming or anything like that.
I don't know. I
Let's
should know more
see.
about 2xKO gameplay wise, but also I like to wait to
Oh
the
no.
end. Like, oh,
So it doesn't have incoming. It just has a very fast transition.
Okay, so
Like
it,
a
it,
very
it does
fast.
snap back to round start position.
No, it doesn't snap back to round start. That's the funny thing.
Okay.
So
what?
you round start, you start, next to each other, right? What it snaps you to is where the dead character was. So
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like you die, then you instantly come right in from there.
so that then what happens is a character dies. I'm watching a match from Evo right now. A
Mhm.
character dies, and then after they die, you get a really short like intro of your other character, right? And they come in standing where the dead character's corpse.
Okay, so that means if you get
And then
shoved into a corner, it means I don't lose my corner advantage if I take their character.
yes,
Oh,
Uh,
it's kind of like Mortal Kombat then.
Yeah, it's more like
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So I like that because what I
Yeah.
didn't like about Dragon Ball when I figured
Mhm.
out versus games more was that if I mix you into the corner and then take the character, now we're back at neutral and I don't get to keep my advantage for taking your character, which I
Yeah.
know was an intentional design decision. They didn't want the incoming mix present in that game. I
Mhm.
just personally prefer to mix you on incoming.
Right.
Because I'm
You
a
just like being
scumbag. What can I
rewarded.
say?
Don't.
It's,
This feels a little
I
bit.
will air throw your incoming with Valentine. I'm sorry. I'm
This
not
feels a
sorry.
little best of both worldsy,
It does,
like
yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
yeah. Like I like you're not gonna get the same mix that you would get on incoming, but like you get pressure right off the bat.
Yeah.
You get your positioning, so that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
neat.
cool. I like
You
it.
know,
Do we know if
um,
assist or like, if you play an assist, do you know if that thing's gonna reset when the round start happens?
what'd you say?
Okay. Do we know if do we know like if I kill my opponent and like they get plopped where they are, is my assist gonna recharge or is it like fighters where it's gonna be back to work like back to
Oh,
full?
your assists are just a timer. It's just a timer.
Okay.
So
So I wasn't sure if like, the timer stopped or ever kept them going during the KO.
that I don't think we have enough data
Yeah,
on.
something like that,
Uh,
Okay.
it will
so
probably change a lot.
I thought I'd ask.
speaking of rounds, though, this is actually going to be a big thing, which we didn't talk about yet. 2XKO is going to be the first versus game that has rounds.
Oh, it does have
Um,
rounds.
Oh
yeah,
shit.
no,
I noticed that.
like in Skullgirls and Tekken Tag Tournament, in Marvel 2, all that. When you win, right? That's it. You
Yep.
just play and you win. You have to kill both their characters to take a round off of them, and you have to take 2 rounds to
Rounds.
win a
Okay.
game,
All right.
which
Okay.
is which is very interesting.
That's a
That
little
means
Now, Joshua,
grueling.
what's the timer?
yeah,
What's the timer
yeah.
like then?
Timer's like 99, like
Okay, that's not
99
bad then.
seconds. But like no, like you deal damage. Like you deal
Yeah.
damage
Okay.
in this game. Yeah, but that's really interesting. I feel like that is a response to the fact that versus games we always end up extending the sets anyway, right?
Hmm.
We're always like, oh, this has to be 3-5, and in finals it's 4-7,
Yeah.
or something like that. They're like, no, you have to take a 2 of 3,
That's
and
cool.
that I think is going to be really crazy because it's going to reduce the reliance on gimmicks, which versus games have always been about, right?
Right.
Because you're gonna have a chance, you'll lose to that gimmick, and then you'll come back the next round, and it's like, and now you can watch out for it,
Right.
So that's very interesting. I find that to be very interesting. It's an interesting form.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
And it also makes explosive rounds feel less bad,
Hmm.
right? Because
Mhm.
like if you get happy birthdayed and you lose a round, it's not like you just lost. You're
You
still in it.
you didn't lose an entire game, you know?
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like that. I'm again skeptically hopeful. It you can feel that the people making this are old timers in the FGC,
Yeah.
right? Like you could tell that that Tom and Tony Cannon are actively thinking, okay, what do we want to address?
Mhm.
What are common problems? That you have. Oh, that's the other thing. I forgot about it. Last Stand. Last Stand is a really interesting mechanic. Um, so every groove has a special thing that they do when your teammate dies,
Oh,
right?
okay.
You get a last stand unlock, right? And one last stand is like it doubles the size of your meter. Another last stand is like something with bursts, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And this is all still sort of like from beta info that we had in Evo,
Yeah.
but like that was taken, that's kind of taken straight from BB Tag, but it's
Hmm.
like you have a thing you can do um even when your opponent is even when your teammate is dead. And I think I actually want to double check this. Hold on.
Oh God, every character is Phoenix.
Oh no!
I
Okay,
can't control it.
don't worry like that, please. I don't want to think about that.
I should learn a
Oh
Phoenix
yeah,
team.
okay, so yeah, this is actually what it
No,
is
you shouldn't.
currently,
You're
right?
too powerful.
So the groove based last stands, some grooves interact with last stand, but what it is your character, your teammate, right, has a selection of assists that they could use normally,
Mhm.
But then when they die, you get to use them one more time as an assist, but their assist is their super.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Shit.
That's kind
So,
of
Give me
interesting.
the full screen beam. Give me the full screen beams.
so that I also find to be really interesting. It means that
Mhm.
you get one final assist usage.
But can you like DHC into it?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be DHCing into it. It is an assist that is your super, and you can
Oh
call
God.
assists in the middle of moves.
Oh no.
So, um, so I think that's kind of neat. Like it addresses the idea that you always feel gimped whenever you lose a character.
Hmm.
So
Well,
it's a comeback mechanic without being a comeback mechanic. Like it's not like the Dragon Ball Fighters,
The sparking.
bursting,
Yes.
sparking and bursting and
yeah.
fucking. Because I remember, like, they already had sparking, and then season 3 they added the other thing where your final character, I forget
Limit
what it's
burst.
called. What
Limit
limit
burst.
burst? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
You
where
get
you're
plus 10. You get a full bar meter and plus 10% all your damage, I believe.
Oh
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
So your final character got extra damage, and then you sparking your final character, and
Uh-huh.
and there are more elegant ways than just saying now this guy's a big juggernaut.
Yeah. And I mean,
Like,
don't get me wrong, I am a filthy X Factor Virgil player.
Me too.
I play Zero May Cry, all right? I have no morals. So when it comes to like crazy nonsense comeback mechanics like that, I have no leg to stand on, but I do like how elegantly Riot seems to be thinking about these, or Radiant seems to be thinking about these things.
mhm.
Two things. One, all I can think of is when you said your assist move super. All I can think of is now imagine really doing Shiniku Hadouken and then just Phoenix and Wright just farming items for his thing. Like,
For
imagine a character
turnabout
like
mode, yeah.
that. Turn out, yeah, like, that'd be stupid if they did that in Project 2XL. I almost said Project L. And then third, because of fighters with the limit burst, sparking, base Goku has a 4-hit TOD. It's what crouching to medium, standing heavy kick. What if his level 3 special to the charge up to level 3, and then his level 3 actual spirit bomb. But that's
And then
100% right
Spirit
there.
Bomb, yeah. Just
But I mean,
remove a character.
Yeah, pretty much. Just you
fighters
get 2F. Oh, guess you're dead.
fighters had a lot of things like that. Like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta had his like taunt enough
And 2 air
times, and
dashes.
then
Hmm.
like so. I mean, this that's another thing. We don't really know what the speed of this game is going to be like. Like we've seen, and that's because we've only seen like 4 characters, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
And 2 of them have air dashes, and 2 of them don't.
right.
So so we have absolutely no clue what we're looking at here. We've literally seen essentially 2 grapplers and 2, crazy mobility characters. So,
Oh, what is it? It looks like
um,
League of Legends. There's characters are separated into assassins, fighters, mages, marksmen, supports, and tanks. So I'm guessing assassins will be like rushdown characters. So all I can think of is like an actual rushdown character in a fast-paced game like this. That I'm almost scared to think about that.
well, I mean, like Ari, we've seen Ari. She already has an 8-way air dash,
Yeah.
I did
So
okay. I actually
we're
need to sit down and actually watch the gameplay of this. I
Have you
watched the
ever
gameplay like a week before it comes out, though.
have you ever had to fight Marvel 2 Magneto? Because
I
I've had to
have.
fight Marvel 2 Magneto.
I have not. I didn't participate in the T3 or Marvel 2 tournament, so.
And here's the thing: we see that she has an 8-way air dash, and Darius doesn't have an air dash or a double jump or anything like that. So, like, are they gonna strike gold? Are we gonna see them, like manage to make the versus game where the characters who don't have air mobility still manage to be contenders? Because that
Hey, I
has
hope so.
not let's be honest, that has not
Mhm.
happened. Like, it actually has not happened. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, the people with air mobility won. Like
Yep.
BB Tag, people with air mobility won. Marvel Infinite, air mobility won.
Oh yeah,
Like,
nobody doesn't have air mobility in Skullgirls.
yeah.
Beowulf? Oh, no, he does not super. I've got to play Beowulf.
Yeah, Beowulf has like Wolf Dash, and
Big Band?
Big
Oh,
Band can fly.
I think
Um,
different fan. Jeez.
and
Yeah, no, they
Umbrella?
Bella has Glide.
hmm
What? Jeez, I don't play enough.
Umbrella has something, but Umbrella's
Umbrella
also
has float.
broken. So yeah,
She
Umbrella
has float,
has
yeah.
her
Well,
float. Yeah,
yeah.
just like Parasol does.
hmm Yeah, no, I mean that was one of the things. That was one of the things that the Skullgirls team did. They were like, okay, in a game in which there is aerial mobility, everyone needs a way to contend. It could
Yeah,
be worse, like Bella Glide is not as good as Try Dashing,
right.
but
But it's
like,
there. Yeah.
but it's there.
It's an option.
So it'll be really interesting to see what 2XKO does with that. You said that you wanted to talk about it in terms of esports, right?
Oh
Because you have a
yeah.
lot of thoughts with Valorant. So like,
So
yeah, go on.
yeah, like I said, I've been playing a lot of Valorant recently, and as such, I've been watching a lot of Valorant. So I've been watching like the
Mhm.
championship series that just began recently, and I've been going back and watching older matches, and I noticed a lot of things about Valorant that make this sort of like high level of play feel more accessible to the average player, right?
Mhm.
Excuse me. And it feels crazy to me to say that because in my near decade in the FGC, I've always felt like the FGC had like the easiest path to the top, right? Because on paper you look at it and it's okay, I fly out to tournament, I show up to tournament, I win tournament, boom. Anybody can sign up, anybody can show up. You get there, you play, you have an opportunity to get to that highest level, right?
Yeah.
Um, but something about the FGC, and I mean, I know what that something is, but something about the FGC still feels really inaccessible, and it's traveling.
Hmm.
Yep.
Because our games are so heavily reliant on offline culture, uh, it's impossible for a lot of people to get to these events to give themselves the opportunity to compete at the highest level. This is sort of kind of being rectified as newer games come out and pay more attention to the online functionality. I will give newer games credit for that. But and like I thought that we were like, you know, moving forward really well in that regard until I logged on Valorant and I realized that Valorant has an esports tab in the game.
Hmm.
Really?
You click a
Yep.
button and you can see the results of all of the most recent official tournaments and like matches, and you can like I don't think Valorant has a client where you can actually watch the matches if they're not live. But if there's a Valorant championship match happening live, you can watch it from inside the game client. Which is super awesome. Counter-Strike implemented that years ago and I loved it. I used it all the time when I was playing Counter-Strike. Um, Capcom said they were going to do that in the battle lounges, and then they
Right.
never did.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Like that was a big thing that they advertised, and we still can't do that, right?
Yeah, they were
Like,
like, oh, we're going to put tournament like Capcom Pro Tour matches up on the big screen in the battle lounge, and everybody will be able to sit with their avatars and watch. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I'd love to do that. Never implemented. An entire Capcom Cup went by, and that feature did not happen.
right.
Um, so cool. I hope it does in the future.
Yep.
Um, But the other thing in Valorant is that there's like a bunch of different game modes in Valorant. There's your deathmatch, and then there's like your unrated competitive. Um, it's the playlist is actually just called unrated, where
Mhm.
it's the primary game type, right? The plant defuse Counter Strike stuff. One
Yeah,
team
yeah,
plants
yeah,
the bomb, the other team defuses the bomb, elimination style, search and destroy, if you will.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you play that, and you cannot access the ranked ladder until your account reaches level 20. It
Hmm.
took me like 5 days to hit
Hmm.
level 20. And what I thought was really interesting about that was at first it felt prohibitive, right? Because I'm used to being a fighting game player where I can just click on ranked and go, right? I don't
Hmm.
Yep.
have to practice, I don't have to learn anything. I can just throw myself straight to the wolves. And as an experienced fighting game player, that's fine for me. But as a newer player, it's allowing people with no guidance to just throw themselves into the shark pit and expect to, do well and get wins and like understand the game, it creates a lot of, negative feelings.
Mhm.
So what that prohibition allowed for me was to give me time to learn the game before I just tossed myself into the ranked ladder. Um, but on top of that, so I had unrated, it had ranked, and then it had what's called the Premier League. And what the Premier League is an officially sponsored, essentially a league, a season of high-level competitive gameplay where this is all done inside the game client, by the way. You do not have to go to any external websites or sign up for anything outside of the game to participate in this. But you can build a team of up to 7 players, 5 play at a time, so you can have 2 players on the bench to sub in and out. And your consistent team plays in a league ladder against other teams that decided to participate in this season. And the top standing teams at the end of the season compete in a playoff tournament to a championship
That's really cool.
from
That's really
inside your house.
Yeah, that's cool. We do need more of that. We do need more of that.
Just Splatoon should add that.
Splatoon is a great game to have something like that. But like to see this extra level, right, where it's like I'm not good at Valorant. But if I were, and I'm sitting at my house just grinding these high-level ranked matches, treading water because there's nowhere else for me to go, to have this extra step to be like, hey, I have 4 buddies who are as good at this game as me. Why don't we start a team from our houses and play with each other in the Premier League? You click one button, you set up your team, and then you play 2 matches a week to participate in this league. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like to participate in high-level sanctioned esports from your house at the click of a button.
It feels like Riot has a good mind about future-proofing their games, right? Because that's the thing that we lack in the FGC, right?
Yeah.
We have a plan for like the game comes out and then we expect it to do good. And if it does good, we're like, where do we go from here?
Right. Well, we host it at Evo every year until the next one comes out, Yeah. Fine, whatever. But like, we got to start thinking outside of the box here. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up is I was watching the Valorant Championship series, and there was a match happening at a LAN. This is offline, mind you. The teams that are competing are sitting in the same room at provided PCs, face to face, on stage, in front of a crowd. There was a player on one of the teams, and I can't remember the player or the team, off the top of my head, but that player, for whatever reason, couldn't make it. Something happened, and they were unable to travel for the event. So they played from home.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
They just think about that for us, and it seems
honestly, golf clap for that. Holy crap!
Like it feels so obvious, right? But like it's such a simple thing that just blew my mind because the casters noted it, right? Because after the match was over and like the 2 teams got up to shake hands or whatever, and they were like, oh, so and so wasn't here, he had to join the server from home. He literally just played on his home computer at this like he could have won a trophy from his house.
Right. That's insane, right? Because at least that's insane from an FGC perspective. Because I know that if anybody else is listening to this podcast, they're like, "That's just normal. What's wrong with you guys?"
Yeah.
But yeah, the thought for us, like, imagine if like you were on the main stage of Evo and you were connecting in, like, no one would play you.
Right?
People
exactly.
would be like, this is unfair.
Yeah.
Imagine grand final special ultimate. You see the lobby screen open up all of a sudden. Sorry guys, I got disconnected. We got to open up again.
Well, that's just it, right? Is that the game Valorant works when you turn it on?
Right. Not to rewind back to the last episode, but that's another thing that I'm excited for, because like from one side you have Riot, who knows how to manage their online presence, right?
Yep.
And on the other side you have Radiant, who's run by Tom and Tony Cannon, who literally created fighting game rollback netcode. So like, if 2XKO doesn't have good netcode, then we're fated to never have good netcode, right?
What was that?
So yeah, I mean, I kind of hope. I mean, the way that progress works in any field is usually after someone is the first one to do it, everyone ends up copying. We
Mhm.
kind of saw
Yeah.
that with Strive.
Yep.
You know, Strive was like, "Hey guys, we have working rollback netcode," and everyone's like, "Shit, now we all need rollback netcode, or people are just gonna play Strive, right?"
Mhm.
Yep.
So then more games gave rollback netcode. I'm kind of hoping that 2XKO is the next thing, right? Because if they manage esports well, if they manage their online presence well, then hopefully they will eat up so much of the fighting game community that you, like you said earlier, Ghoul, you will have to pay attention.
Mhm.
You know, that you can't just release, you can't just release Mortal Kombat 1 broken on day one, or something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that game,
And oh yeah, go ahead.
no, go on. I got a point about Mortal Kombat 1 I want to make.
Okay, cool.
Too.
Um but yeah, this is sort of like the slow plotting the dragging dragging the devs kicking and screaming, into the
Into
future
making
that
functioning games.
yeah. Yeah, if 2XKO does it, the biggest threat to these other games is why won't we just play 2XKO?
Right.
Like if it is a free to play game that manages its online presence well and works, that is already better than, like 70% of the fighting games we can choose
Yeah,
from.
exactly.
And it's going to have to be, okay, we need at least what 2XKO gives us for free to be able to compete. And that's going to change the landscape quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm ready for another push to the envelope in, what fighting gamers expect out of the products.
Yeah.
And I think we all are, whether we know it or not. There's so much like Tekken 8, as good as it is, like it's still having problems with online. The ranked experience is miserable right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's partly a community thing, but it's also like the game is designed in such a way that rewards you for quitting out of matches. Like, and I don't mean just like one and dunning, like not completing a rank set. I mean literally plugging in the middle of a game so that you don't get a
Oh,
loss.
uh,
It is rampant in Tekken Online right now. And the devs are talking about implementing some sort of punishment system for people doing that. But why wasn't there one?
Yeah.
right.
Every
Why is this
other
discussion happening now?
every other game has something like that. Like if I leave out of a Valorant match early, I like lose a bunch of ranked points. I get like a warning, and if it happens again, I get like banned from matchmaking for an hour. Like there's consequences for like ruining the experience for other people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And like there just isn't, so the game just rewards like not having consequences is rewarding them for doing it. It's the same thing
Right.
because like
Mm-hmm.
if I can just Alt F4 my game and not lose ranked points when I know that I'm about to like lose the game, then on paper, why wouldn't I?
Right.
I personally wouldn't because that's just not fun to me.
You have morals.
Well, yeah. Um, but like, what incentive is there apart from my own personal feelings to not?
All fighting game matchmaking is a social experiment.
Yes, exactly. And it's, at the expense of people who just want to play the game.
Yeah.
But I think that Riot is. I have a lot of hope for 2XKO from what I've seen from the game, and also from what I've seen Riot do with their other properties. I mean, like I said, you can't deny that Riot runs esports right now.
Yeah. 100%.
And they have for a long time. And I think that they know what they need to do to make 2XKO successful. I mean, at least on the esports front.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't catch on, I mean, I don't see it not catching on at locals.
Yeah.
Like at the grassroots level, but I also don't think it really has to. And like
Yeah.
I hesitate to say that because I don't want to get tomatoes thrown at me, but like
No, I think you're right though, because if you think about it, like, LAN parties are only a very small part of like the local competitive MOBA scene,
yeah,
right? A lot of that shit happens from home, and they might be, making that making 2XKO so that a lot of that could happen from home, and that would be a major shift in the way that we look at fighting games. But like, maybe it's a shift we need, like
People, there's so many people that play fighting games that like don't have a scene near them and don't like have the time resource, because everybody always says like, well, I don't have a fighting game scene near me. Everybody says, well, make one. And it's like, come on, man. Like,
I'm not famous. I can't just
I can't just make people appear who want to play this really niche anime game with me. I really wish I could just turn this game on in my house and play a functioning experience online against other people, right? And I've done it. I've done the whole build a community from the ground up just to have people to play with thing. I've done it several times. None of those times was it fun.
I was about to say, was it fun though?
Playing the games was fun, and meeting new people was fun, and hanging out with friends and pressing buttons and enjoying this shared common interest. All of that was great and wonderful, and it's experiences that I'm thankful for. But dragging 3 setups into the backseat of my car and driving an hour and 45 minutes to a venue to like have my controller cable stolen and like
oh, this
something at home.
Oh god.
Having to buy fighting games and DLC that I'm not interested in for myself just so that there would be a setup at the local for people that do want to play it, like. And obviously I didn't have to do all that stuff, but I also kind of did if I wanted to play my games. I mean, RPG, you know what I'm talking about.
No, I know. Like, I've had to do the same thing with the Skullgirls scene. Like you can build a scene, but it is so much work. Like, just for people at home, one of the things that I'm organizing is a Bloody Roar tournament for our buddy Phil, because it's his favorite game, right? And I feel bad just because there's so much shit happening in my life that I may have to push it back, and I feel bad for that. But like, that's the reality, like TOs have lives, and or at least they attempt to, right? And when your local, well, my life right now is very grindy. That's the problem. But when a local, scene hinges so much on like 1 or 2 TOs, it is a house of cards, right? Like if something happens in someone's life, and it could be anything, because people get sick, people have financial problems. People change their jobs, people move away sometimes,
people get tired.
People get tired, that all that shit's totally valid, and you can't, the whole community can't be on the whims of one person's life, and the thing that other genres have done is take that load off individual people, right? Because like, if you're playing Valorant, like you said, even if you want to play competitive Valorant, you press a button and you're doing it.
Yeah.
You don't have to lug your PC to a venue. You don't have to, like, do all this organization. And the more we can have that, the more we can have press a button and make it go, the bigger the community gets.
Yep.
And I think that's what I really hope 2XKO does. I want to see 2XKO let us push a button and go, and then a tournament happens.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. And I mean, the game just looks fun. I'm excited to play it. I'm really glad I got my feet wet in other versus games before this one is coming out.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you guys were there back in the days when I was saying like, oh, I just don't play versus games, I'll never understand. And now I'm a fucking Skullgirls player. So now I'm going to arcades and like now I'm like going to arcades and running Marvel 2 setups and like so 2XKO is going to be a good time. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see Riot bring their esports philosophy to the FGC, If for no other reason than to see how the FGC reacts, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
they are dropping a bowling ball into a very still pond right now.
I want to be there with my camera going, go on, press the button, see what happens.
I gotta be honest. I am gleefully and maliciously excited for League players to try this game.
So,
Like,
like, that's the thing, right? Is on the one hand, I am excited for League players to try this game. On the other hand, I am terrified of the league players that actually stick with the game, right?
Oh,
Because
yes.
there's two different groups of people that are going to transition from League to 2XKO, right? There's the people who are just going to play it because it's a cool new way for them to interact with this IP that they like.
mhm.
Because a lot of people like they play League, they play Teamfight Tactics, they play Legends of Runeterra, which I think that's the card game, if I got that
Yeah,
right.
it's a card
Okay,
game.
yeah.
Yes.
And they're like, cool, I like the League of Legends IP. I enjoy the product, the characters, the art style, presentation, whatever. Here's a fighting game. It's free. I'm gonna go try it. Get beat up in a fighting game for a little while. Whatever. Then there's gonna be the people that are like trying it, like the hardcore League players that spent the last 11 years with their noses to the grindstone playing one of the most difficult competitive games to ever exist. And they're going to play a fighting game and they're going to smell blood in the water and they're going to like it. And those are the people that I am terrified of.
Yep. I'm so excited for the day one, but I was holding backwards. How did he grab me? You know,
I mean, like,
there's so many clips of that on Dex.
I'm gonna be real with you. I think that some of the hardcore League players that pick up this game, they're gonna go in hard. I think
Oh,
some of
yeah.
them are gonna go in hard. I think we're going to see like a Leffen Part 2, where it's like, someone comes from a game we don't expect and suddenly starts challenging all the pros,
Uh-huh. I mean, it's already
Oh, no.
happened. Umisho came from Overwatch,
Yeah.
and then
Really?
she started winning Strive like within a year of being a professional Overwatch player.
Wow, I
Right.
did not know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So to say like to say that, and I've heard this sentiment before, but to say that League players aren't going to be able to acclimate to a fighting game, I think is a lot of misplaced confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that some people are going to be in for a rude awakening when League players get their hands on this game.
Oh yeah.
If they have the dedication to play League of Legends, they have the dedication to play a fighting game.
But like, for real, the thing that makes, like, this is gonna sound awful, right? But you know what they are? They're bodies. And like, having bodies in the servers is what you need to keep a game alive.
That's
And
it.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I am totally fine with that.
I am
Whether they're
so
whooping my
excited.
ass or I'm whooping their ass,
Uh-huh.
this game is gonna have bodies, which means we can keep playing it. You know,
To stay afloat somehow.
I mean, like, just to be like, how many people are on League right now? Any
Oh, God.
people are on League
Over under 10,000.
now? 110,000? Yeah,
110,000.
yeah. Let's see, how many people are on Street Fighter 6?
500.
How many people are on Street Fighter 6 right now? Average players, 13,000. It's not bad, but like,
Well, that's not.
it's not League, you know.
Check Valorant.
What? Valorant?
Check Valorant. Yeah.
Playing Valorant right
60,000.
now. Okay. Yeah, so in the last hour there were 670,000 online players for Valorant.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Valorant's pretty big.
How do you spell Valorant? I'm gonna download this now.
Joey, if you want me to carry you in Valorant, we can talk.
I put Overwatch for the first year. I regret that decision so much. I don't give a shit. Let's do this.
Yeah, and the number of players online in the last hour for League were 1,035,946. So
Excuse me?
that's a country. Like, that's a small country.
There's currently a small country of people playing League
Yeah.
of Legends right
So
now.
think about that. Think about that. Street Fighter 6 has 13,000 players. We would consider that large.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
that
super
was
size right there.
and that was 13,000 for the past 24 hours. In the past hour, there's several orders of magnitude more players playing League. Like
God.
that's crazy, right? That's crazy. So I do hope that we see. I don't need 1 million players. If we get it,
no.
that's great. But like, even if we get 100,000 players, that's more than most, fighting games.
It's at launch, it's a big Star Wars Battlefront. There's only 3 servers of 64 people, and 10,000 people want to play the game.
Jesus.
Um,
Yeah, I'm excited about 2XKO. I'm really excited
So-
about, especially like with the amount of Valorant that I've been playing and like seeing the way that Riot handles their IPs. I think this game is going to be sweet. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to have a lot of features that we didn't even know we wanted
Mhm.
or needed. And I think it's going to be the next thing that pushes the sort of standard for what we expect out of a fighting game product. And I'm looking forward to it.
I am going to call it right now. This is my tinfoil hat $1 million bet. At some point, we are going to get a Valorant guest character.
Oh, I
into
hope
X.
so.
I was
But-
going to say,
That's the main thing that I want is like I want Jet from Valorant in
Mhm.
2XKO. Because, Valorant's a Riot property and
yeah.
they are separate universes as far as I know.
Mhm.
But Valorant has a precedent for being multiversal.
Right.
So that's actually the story of Valorant is that the bomb that you're planting is actually like this like thing that's supposed to steal this substance called radionite from the other universe.
Mhm.
And so like the two teams are, which is why they justify like you can have mirror matches, because if I'm playing Jet and my opponent's playing Jet, I'm Jet from Earth Alpha and they're Jet from Earth Omega, and we're
Right.
fighting to get the radionite from each other. And so, they be universe hopping in Valorant. So,
That's what I'm hoping to see.
yeah, I would love some Valorant characters in League. I mean, not
Those are
well
the
in League,
little
sure, I
power.
guess, but into XKO.
So I do want to make this clear for anybody who's watching. Signups for the playtest betas are open. So it is on the official 2XKO website, which is 2xko.riotgames.com.
Formerly was Project L.
You better believe that I have already signed up for that.
As have I.
And I will in fact cry if I don't get in.
I gotta do that. I'm doing
Yeah,
that right now, actually.
as of today, this episode is being recorded on the 14th of March, 2024. So as of the moment of this recording, the beta signups are now open. So make sure
I'm doing it right now.
get in there.
You can do that too in the link in the description.
I guess I'll put a link in the description now. Thanks, Joey. The other thing I'm going to put a link to in the description is a link to the T3 Discord where you can join, be part of the community, hang out with us and the other members of the T3 crew. We play all sorts of fighting games. We play Valorant. There's some League of Legends players in there. We hang out and have
we'll
each other.
probably be running Project L. Damn it. 2XKO sets.
I might have to set up a counter for that if I feel like doing it in post.
We're probably gonna run 2XKO when it comes out.
I'm gonna be playing
I
it.
am a versus player, so I'm very excited. So I'm gonna be playing too.
Our matches will be legendary.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to add before we sign off?
No, I don't think so.
We'll see you in 2XKO.
Oh, open call out to Puffer McSparkleface, huh?
Oh yeah, actually, you know what? That's something that I want to put here.
Yes.
A member of our community, Puffer McSparkleface, has said that he will be the greatest at 2XKO. So I openly invite everyone to do science and test that hypothesis, so to speak.
But in order to do that, you have to join the Discord to get in touch with Puffer. So make sure you do that in the description down below.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, we'll pass on them.
Anyway, that's been T3 Presents. As always, I've been My Life as an RPG.
I have been cool.
Undisputed Joey, baby.
And we will see you guys next time.